Hello and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. My name is Mikhail Tinubu. It's a pleasure welcoming you on this Saturday as we dive into the relevant sports stories that have taken place during the week. I know many of you had your expectations, many of you even took out bets on the Champions League fixtures. But certainly, some people expected more from the likes of Barcelona than they ended up getting. We'll discuss more on that later. But there's so much happening this weekend. Canelo is meeting Buster. You know, the boxing match is going to be so special. A trilogy match, the first match between these two foes ended in a draw. The second, Canelo won, and you know, it never went away. The question of who won, who is the better boxer. We'll get another answer this week, but this weekend, this Saturday, today specifically. But don't be surprised, given that the first match ended in a draw, if Canelo Alvarez loses this second match, this third match, don't be surprised if we get a fourth. It will be interesting. Now, I believe I have with me Wale Agbede today. We are going to discuss something that is critical to the nature of our football league in Nigeria. It begs the question, why do we not broadcast more of our matches? When you look at the Premier League, when you look at La Liga, when you look at French League and Italian League and even the Bundesliga, you see that every single match is broadcasted. And in fact, the likes of the Premier League, the likes of La Liga are constantly signing new deals with foreign investors, foreign broadcast networks and stations that want to bring quality football onto their airwaves so that the worldwide fans can benefit from seeing their favorite players play week in, week out. It makes sense, right? You want to follow your team. And as a club, it's the only way to grow. It's the only way to ensure that your football, your players, your club is as popular as it can be. Manchester United is big in China. Could you imagine the kind of numbers that have gone into those deals? But no one anywhere else in any other part of the world is asking for Nigerian league. Why should they? When we ourselves aren't broadcasting enough of these matches. I question the logic in constantly missing out on such a vital opportunity when clubs are missing deadlines to pay their players, pay their staff. Clubs are depending on the government to fund them. And none of these clubs, most of these clubs, aren't in private hands. The least you could do is to arrange the situation so that broadcasting is available. Footballers can only grow if the football they play is being watched, is being consumed. My question is, do you, the average Nigerian, want to watch more of your local league? The DSTV league is constantly being broadcasted. The South African league is constantly being broadcasted. Why isn't the Nigerian league? I have Wale with me this morning, our very own Wale Agbede. And I want to throw this question with him. I want to explain, I want him and I, and maybe you, to have a discussion amongst ourselves about where the benefits lie and why are we not taking advantage of it. Wale?
Yeah, good morning, Mukai. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can. Thank you for joining me. It beggars belief that the Football League in Nigeria has been going on for so long, and yet we broadcast so few of the games, if any at all.
Yeah, well, it's an unfortunate situation, Mukai. I mean, they've done it before, right? But unfortunately, the media organization that had the rights had to pull out, because of the economic situation of the country. Don't forget that, a lot of foreign exchange goes into broadcasting these games, a lot of logistics with OB vans and presenters and all of those who have to move around, cameramen to cover these games. So it began to cost much more than the value that the league was creating. And that's the critical word in this conversation: value. How much value is there in the Nigeria Professional Football League? Unfortunately, not much, if any, because you consider the security situation, you consider the quality of the football, you consider the quality of the facilities where these games are being played. You even go into the most basic aspect of how much importance are clubs paying, to the value chain, or of which they are part of in Nigerian football. So it begs the question of do they really want to actually make money from this league?
The Premier League is a good example. Every season, it's like the broadcasting rights get renegotiated. Whoever finishes at the top is going to get a prize money from the FA, but that club is also going to get vital money from the broadcasting deals that have been signed during the summer. And the price of these deals keeps rising. My thing is, as difficult as it must be, shouldn't we start from somewhere? Shouldn't we maintain a consistency even when it's difficult? After all, government subsidizes a lot of instances in the country. Is it too much to ask for that the government creates a fund that allows for broadcasters to bid, and then that fund is distributed to supplement any limitations from the broadcasting money that is paid for these matches to be broadcasted?
And I'll give you an instance. The Premier League, like you rightly mentioned, when the format of the Premier League changed, and then the media revolution that occurred, that has made it what it is today. When it happened in 1992, the British government actually set up a bailout fund of over 150 million pounds, and that was what helped the likes of Sky and BT Sports to invest the kind of money that they did at the start, and of course, subsequently, to make Premier League what it is today. So yes, I agree. Can the government do more? Yes, but unfortunately, on the flip side, the government is the reason why, the league is still not moving forward, because they first of all have to see it as a business. They have to see it as something that can create financial value across board, right? When they begin to see it like that, then they begin to invest in it. So I don't really blame the media houses again. I think that the will of the government, the attention or the understanding that they have of the game is so limited that, they've reduced it to just CSR. It's just a political tool that they use to try to win over, people of their state, as the case may be.
Wale, I want to keep discussing this, but I think one stakeholder that we must hear from are the people, the everyday Nigerian. I do believe we got on the streets and spoke to some. Let's hear that.
Definitely. I'll be watching it constantly. If it's on the weekends, Sunday, Saturday, why not?
Yes, of course. Because what makes people they are not watching Nigerian league is because they are not showing you all this DSTV and GoTV. Because for you to watch Nigerian league, you have to go to the stadium and watch it. But if they're improving, showing it in DSTV and GoTV, definitely more people will be watching Nigerian league. Because I would love my country to improve in their league too. Because it's not every time we'll be watching all these international leagues. But when we started developing our own leagues, people will be watching, and more will be contributing more by watching and all that. So we will know more of our players and we'll value our things, because we right now, we didn't value our own league. Because if maybe they are showing it live, we'll value our own leagues and we won't be in a haste. We will not be in a haste to be watching other people this thing. Even though we watch other people, we'll still watch our own, because our own is our own.
I go watch am.
Just because it's good for us to show Nigerian talent.
And I go watch am now.
Make people know the players, those kind of things.
And sure.
Even if they are showing it in DSTV, personally, I will subscribe my DSTV and sit down. No. It's not way.
So Wale, there is obviously a lot of interest from everyday people. You and I, we've analyzed our football. We understand that it's not at the level of quality compared to the Europeans, even the South American leagues. However, there is still interest. If this interest exists, why isn't, I mean, every business, the standard for every business, every entrepreneur, you try to meet a need in the market. Obviously, there's a need. Obviously, there's an interest. My question is the private sector, are the broadcasting stations not as interested in the potential value that this could bring for them?
I mean, it's very multifaceted, right? On face value, it seems like the interest is enough, but actually, there's a long gap between that interest and the investment that potentially private sector brings into the game in Nigeria, and I'll explain it. So here's it, right? I mean, we did see the last speaker in that video saying, I mean, regardless of where it's shown, excuse me, regardless of where it's shown, he will not watch, right? Now, the first thing is how interested is the ecosystem itself in understanding that it is a business. So I bring 100 million naira, for instance, and say, oh, I want to invest in a football club, right, in Nigeria. And in our first game, right, the referee is getting beat up because, I mean, maybe we'll travel away from home. And the referee is getting beat up because we scored a goal that means that we're going to win the game 2-1 away from home. And then there's hula baloo all over the stadium. What is the reaction of the people running the league?
But don't you think? But Wale, don't you think in that regard, in that instance, the fact that there's so many eyes on you, the fact that it is being broadcasted on satellite cable, means that there's beyond our shores, there are more eyes on our league, and therefore more need for security at the stadiums to ensure that such a thing, such as beating up referees, such as storming the field, won't happen as much. Because even in the leagues in Europe, in England, for example, there was a time such a thing was prevalent. Gradually, steadily, the FA cut it out. And that was because of the reputational damage it was bringing to their sport.
So that brings me to the next point, which is about the quality of the spectators. Now, the critical thing that happened in the Premier League was not just about policing, which obviously improved, right? Was not just about facilities, which improved, but the league itself began to sell itself to a different cadre of spectators. It was no longer affordable for the average hooligan on the streets of London to go watch Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, right? It was no longer affordable for everyday people who just want to go into the stadium and drink and smoke. So once the quality of the fans changes, and we're seeing some amateur clubs that are beginning to do stuff like that. Shout out to Sporting Lagos, who I think are doing a great job in terms of how they are, selling themselves to a different level of fans. It's very critical. It is not just about, the Premier League used to be like this. What exactly did they do? The league itself, before it became attractive to investors, the first set of investors in the Premier League were British people before foreigners started coming in. I remember Jack Walker. Jack Walker was the richest man in the UK when he bought Blackburn Rovers in '94. In one season, they were Premier League champions, right? So it has to start from the league, not the investors. I see that people turn around the expectation to say, oh, investors should come in, then the league will improve. No. And also, that is on satellite TV does not guarantee safety. I'll tell you for free. If you go to Kano, for many years, when Super Sports used to show the Premier League in Nigeria, the guys at the Sonny Abacha Stadium, when they see the OB van riding into Kano, many times it has been vandalized. Many times they threaten reporters of that station. I'm telling you this for a fact. that they do not want them in their stadiums. And this goes up to the highest level of those clubs. The club chairmen, the administrators of those clubs, they intimidate journalists, right? So there has to be a culture change. This thing is not about money. If it is about money, there is money to run that league in this country, both from the private sector and from the government. There has to be a culture change in the mindset of the average person who's going to see a game in the domestic league. So again, like I said, very critical. It has to start from the management board of the league, which is the LMC at the moment, although they are mad in a lot of controversy with the sports minister. They have to be able to brand the league in a manner that suggests that we are profit-driven. And then people who are interested in profits will bring their money to invest because they know that at least there's some level of ROI that is guaranteed. Now, for the league management to make it profit-driven, there's another problem. The problem is about 90% of the clubs in the league are government-owned, and those government-owned clubs don't care about profit. Again, culture change. The governors are investing money in these clubs so that when they win league titles, look at what some Wike is doing with Rivers United at the moment, right? When they win league titles, use it as campaign tool. They don't care about, the structure that has to be built for the clubs to be profit-driven. So that creates a problem for the management of the league. So it is so interwoven, the problems, and so diverse that we are going to need a general culture change, not just with the management of the league or the club chairman or the fans. It has to be everybody at the same time.
All right, Wale, thank you so much. I'm going to move on to our next topic.